Assalamualaikum dan salam sejahtera. Anda sedang menonton Agenda Awani secara langsung dari studio Awani Bukit Kuangan Kuala Lumpur, dan malam ini saya nak bercakap tentang inovasi tetapi menghubungkannya secara praktikal dengan aspek pendidikan dan pembangunan ataupun R&D. Tidak berapa lama dulu sebuah kebertepatan meletakkan di muka depannya R&D shock sendiri. Statistik yang dipetik adalah kurang 2% daripada 27,449 hasil R&D di 15 universiti awam yang berjaya dikomersialkan dalam tempoh 5 hingga 10 tahun lalu. Tapi Astro Awani sentiasa bersama dengan universiti, penyelidik dan juga pemikir tentang pendidikan ini. Maka Awani mempunyai sedikit sisipan sendiri terhadap perkara ini kerana kita mahu melihat apakah langkah yang dilakukan dalam universiti-universiti dan juga institusi pengajian tinggi tempatan. Oleh itu saya ingin minta izin berbicara dalam bahasa Inggeris. Whether this is true or not, the assertion that the R&D done is only for the people who are doing it. They're not looking at anything outside and matching it to the needs of the industry. Tonight, I have two great guests who are the perfect people to talk about this. Closest to me is Professor Diago Comin, penasihat program PPRN. PPRN is a public-private research network that's now being done. In fact, since Monday, they've been sitting and meeting the industries in the UTM. And then, of course, I have Datuk Seri Insinyur Dr. Zani Ujang, KSU2. KPM or MOE, and I guess I go straight to you because in Malay just now I've just quoted from a newspaper that said that on their front page not so long ago that there's less than 2% of R&D in 15 of our public universities that make it all the way for commercialization.
Correct.
Maybe that's why what we're having today since Monday, making the industries and the universities get together. Or you want to give your own view on the matter?
This is very important. Thanks for Astro Awani to invite us. We are working for a project known as Public-Private Research Network.
Okay.
And we initiated this through long negotiation and deliberation since 5 years when Diago came with students from Harvard Business School at that time,
okay.
Indicated that the real issue in Malaysia is technology adaptation,
okay.
to move the value chain.
Mm-hmm.
So we decided that we have to try a new model, and this model we call demand-driven innovation. Okay. It means that it started with the needs, mm-hmm. rather than the supply-driven. So in the past, the old academics, or old academia I call it, of conventional academia, okay. Professors and lecturers, they are free under the pretext of academic freedom to do whatever they want.
Okay.
Whatever research they think appropriate. And at the end of the day, it is not matched. I'm not talking about industrial-driven projects. I'm talking about any projects. Mm-hmm. University professors in particular, they normally set their own goals, okay. to do whatever they want to do. But through this engagement that we have done, we think that we should try another models, which is demand-driven. Mm-hmm. And this project we started by piloting 9 small initiatives in June, and okay. we found that after 3 months, with little budgets required, mm-hmm. as grants for the whole okay. initiatives, mm-hmm. we managed to get something great and something big. Okay. I give you an example. In order to improve the productivity, we are talking about productivity here.
Yes.
A company requires, say, for example, existing setup they have, they require another leap in order to improve the productivity. So they know 5 steps, they need the 6 steps, okay. that can break through into a better productions, better process innovation, or better supply chain management. And by doing that, we will be able to do it fast, number one. Number two, we can do it locally. Okay. And this is very important. Okay. And as Diago always mentioned, that normally technology know-how is not something that you can buy from supermarket, okay. or internet. Mm-hmm. Normally you have to investigate, you have to innovate. All right. And by having PPRN, Public-Private Research Network, we try to have a common market, mm-hmm. where industry comes, and then they describe their own needs.
Okay.
And the professors and lecturers and researchers listen to them.
Okay.
And within few days, few weeks, we try to discuss what can be done. And in a very short period of time, we give between 3 to 6 months, they can come up with the real solution that at the end of the day of 3 months, they will get to do something tangible and with little budgets that we provide.
I like it. Hola, from Spain to Harvard to many countries around the world. You even advise our Prime Minister in Malaysia on macroeconomy, for example. So, but I've gone reading, just like many university students nowadays, they don't go much to library, they go Google. And on Google, you can find that many countries are trying to do this. Taiwan, for example, has looked for longest time, even though they're quite ahead in Asia, but they benchmark themselves against mature, developed economy, and they say our industry doesn't have enough computer science engineers because the industry only have 15,799. But in the universities, they have more with specialized subject of specialization. And then we go to Thailand, and they did the same approach. They used the triple helix approach, which is the government, the industry, and the institutions of higher learning to help maybe industries like the rubber industries to go further. So in all this global outlook of strategic competitiveness, how do you look at Malaysia? I will come to your book because you know a lot about Malaysia more than I do, apparently, because you have written a book called Malaysia Beyond 2020. I'm still looking at 2020. What would your own kind input be if I were to ask you to take the positives out of what Malaysia is trying to do? Datuk Sri has outlined the mechanics of it, but I want to go back a bit, 2 steps back, to look at it from a big picture perspective. Where are you seeing this initiative?
So I think that's the great question. That's the way to think about it. So the way to think about it is what potential problems we can see down the road. What is causing those problems? And once we understand what is causing those potential problems, then we can think about how to fix them. We cannot think about solutions, we were thinking about problems. And so, as Zaini was mentioning, the big source of challenges that I see after having studied Malaysia for a number of years now is that when companies want to become more competitive, they lack the knowledge, the technological knowledge to introduce new production processes.
I see.
And so if that is the problem, the question is how can we solve this problem? How can we create an environment where companies have access to that knowledge?
Prof, I want to make it cliffhanging a bit. So we go for the first break. They haven't done well with innovation not to have commercial break. We still have to go to one. But once we are back, if I put it to the scenario that we have in Malaysia, we know more than 98, maybe even 99% of the industry players in this country, they are SMEs. So, of course, the big gap to reach to that technological know-how, skills and innovation, for example. So if you match it to what you have said to SMEs, what could be done and what should be done, we'll come to that after this first break. I'm so glad. I'm already discussing with Professor Diego Comin. He's an advisor to this PPRN. You're going to hear more about PPRN because it's going to solve a lot of problems that we're facing. Like we have a lot of R&D, but they're not moving to market. You keep asking where's the product, where's the services. So that's what this will solve, from my understanding. And I would like to let Professor Comin continue with what you're making the point about, but layer on top of that, majority are SMEs.
So, in principle, the PPRN is for all the companies, big and small, But small companies can clearly benefit a lot from it. So, what problem do companies have? One problem they have is that they lack the technological ability to implement frontier technologies that will allow them to produce better services, more sophisticated, greater products that can charge higher prices and make more profits. That's a big, big problem. That's, to me, the main problem for achieving greater competitiveness. So how can we make sure that they are in an environment where they have access to that knowledge that allows them to implement frontier technologies? Well, that's what the PPRN tries to solve. Until now, the way to bring knowledge or technology to the market from researchers was to develop new products, okay? And in universities, researchers, they have a hard time doing that, because to develop a new product, to market it, you have to become an entrepreneur. So by forcing researchers in universities to do that, we were putting them in a very hot seat. It was very unfair to them, okay? And so it's very unfair to judge researchers in universities because they are unable to develop new products. They are unable to become, you know, Steve Jobs or
it's not their nature.
So it's like, you know, it's completely unfair. It's as if they put you to play soccer. You know, it's not fair. That's not your job. So we are changing completely the channel by which we are bringing knowledge to the market. Okay, rather than forcing universities to find problems in the market and to develop new products, what we are doing is much simpler. We are asking companies, what problems do you have? When you have a problem, come to the PPRN, you know, send us an email at pprn@moe.gov.my, okay? And what we will do is, we know who can solve each problem. We know what research is out there in universities, so we will create matches. We will be the matchmakers. We will send those problems to universities that can solve those problems efficiently, and they will send us proposals. We will go to the companies, we will select the best proposal, and we will split the cost. So we will co-finance with the industry the cost of doing that research, because much of the research is sitting there. So, you know, this is one of the great virtues of this model. We already have lots of knowledge. We have huge pockets of knowledge sitting in universities.
This is what we mentioned about not being commercialized. So this not being commercialized projects is taken to these projects, but with some adjustment to it. It's not purely what they have done. What we have done in the past is that ready-made solution for others to consume. And what we have here is solution to be created using whatever knowledge and whatever experiences we have, and then put it together.
The cost is shared, you said.
So the idea is the following: is, you know, this is a solution for a private company, so the company has to pay for it. Okay, but in doing the research, there are some externalities. You know, the researchers are learning something, we at the PPRN are learning something, and that research will help us solve more problems in the future. So there is a social component to it too, and that's the reason why we are paying for part of it. Okay, and so again, we will be able to, because we have the knowledge, we will be able to solve those problems relatively easily in a short period of time for little money. And to prove that, we ran a pilot in June that Zaini was referring to. It was like, you know, a laboratory version of the PPRN. We put in the same room some companies with problems and some researchers. The companies brought their problems. They were very interesting problems. These were not like silly things. They were sophisticated technological problems. And the minute they presented them, the researchers, they realized that they were very close to finding the solutions to the problems. If not, they already had them. And so within 3 months, they were able, in all of the cases, to get very close to find the solution, or to find the solution at costs that were very, very small as compared to what people do in other countries.
I would like to insert here. In the past, whenever companies have problems, they will go to university, and it takes them 1 to 3 years, depending on the project. If the project is big, it is for PhD programs. So after 3 years, you find the interest on the problem is declining. In this case, we specify that the project should be simple. It's not simple. It should be short and specific.
And quick.
And quick. As I mentioned, you know step 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You need step 6 in order to reach your the market. And this is where we are.
I have to go for the last break. I promise it's the last break. But once we are back, I want to layer on top of that. Because if I'm an entrepreneur, cost is a very big thing, and you promised me that cost will be low. And if I were to do that myself, my own R&D, that will cost maybe 20 times more. But what about ownership of whatever that's there? What about intellectual property? Would this marriage have to be forever? Or how do you see it? Because Universities will have other imperative. It will have to look at social responsibilities. But corporate looks first and foremost at the bottom line. Right. So where do you marry that in terms of this partnership translated into products and services? We'll discuss after the short break. Thank you for still watching Agenda One Year. We're talking about moving this country forward. For this country to move forward, our industry need to move forward. For our industry moving forward, we need to go higher up the value chain. We need technological expertise. We need to solve new problems. We need to be innovative and creative. The solution is a public-private research network project. It's kicking off. It's already kick the ball, so to say. I heard that there's 100 companies already involved this week alone in this project. But what kind of relationship would this be? Because we know that these are two different animals. One have a very commercial motive, the other have, a bit of commercial, but there's a lot more social also. So until what extent would this marriage go to? So, or is it not a marriage at all?
Yes. Okay. No, I'm happy to answer this question. There is more about this. I wanted to introduce my book.
Sure.
My book, Malaysia Beyond 2020, that has been just edited by UTM Press. It's very important, your question, because that's actually the reason why the PPRN makes so much sense. Is because traditionally researchers and firms have not talked to each other.
Yes.
So there is a matching problem. The market doesn't create those matches. Companies do not know where to go if they have a problem, which university to go, which researcher to go to. They don't trust them typically. They see them as being in the clouds, and we talk to the researchers, and they are aware that they don't trust each other. So what we are doing here is to facilitate those matches. We are the matchmakers. Now these matches, in principle, they are contractual matches that will last for a precise period of time, which is the period of the project. Okay. These projects, as Aini was saying, in principle, they are going to last between 3 months and 1 year, at least for 2015. Going down the road, as the PPRN gets more traction, we will consider longer relationships. Now, this is what is in the contract. But what we are finding is that because the contracts or the projects are so productive, these affairs may end up being a more stable relationship between researchers and companies. So one of the things that we have done is we have surveyed the researchers that participated in the pilot in June, and I have asked them what they have enjoyed more about their collaboration, and their number one factor for them, the most interesting feature has been that it has allowed them to interact with the companies, and they have enjoyed that interaction a lot.
Okay, I have 30 seconds only left. There are certain notes scribbled here that I think should be shared. Dato' Sri.
In 2015, according to the budget that presented by Yang Muhammad Prime Minister recently, PPRN was allocated 50 million.
Okay.
So we try to get 100 projects to be funded next year. 1,000. Yes, and Prime Minister will launch this project in January 2015.
Okay.
And we have made presentation to Economic Council last few days, and they are very happy and agree to proceed with this model.
So the political will is there. The horse, as we call it, will go to water because they are very excited to meet a potential problem solver or solution giver. I want to ask a bit more theoretical question here. Malaysia is a developing nation.
Yes.
We would like to put our hands on research in every aspect of the world, but I think we have to be a bit more meticulous in selection of the processes that we want to get involved with. So in your point of view, for example, if we had known that mobile and mobile gadgets are going to be so in demand in the 90s, it would have made sense to do R&D on that particular area, which Nokia also didn't see. That's why Nokia is now Microsoft. So if we hindsight now, why wouldn't we want to park this particular effort to somewhere where we think the world is going to? For example, if we can't create mobile phones and tablets, we might look and concentrate on innovation and services that works on that platform as one of a key component of this particular project.
So it's important to understand that what the PPRN does is to bridge the gap between the knowledge that companies have and the knowledge that they need. So it's mostly about diffusing the knowledge that we have created. But one interesting byproduct is that it tells the researchers what the market is demanding. So the PPRN is not an effort to bet on any particular sector or any particular activity. We are not gambling here with the money of the Malays. What we are doing is one interesting consequence of the PPRN is that now researchers in universities, they will receive information about what type of sectors, what type of activities the industry is demanding. And if they enjoy collaborating with the companies as they do, consciously or unconsciously, they will shift the research from what they are doing right now to those areas that are in higher demand. So it's a great mechanism to actually provide signals to the researchers for what's interesting in the market.
Dato' Sri, but if we were to look beyond 2020, surely we have to benchmark it against the future.
Yeah, this is very important. I think this is the model that we have created in the country, knowing our own problems and solution to be. Therefore, we work together with MTDC. We know that MTDC has a lot of potential to work in this area with SMB Corporation. And of course, this project involves university, so we park it under Ministry of Education. So by doing that, I think we will be able to not only tap the potential that we have. In the past, we are bashing university professors for not doing enough for technology development and whatnot. So, we come up with solution. I think this is one of the solutions that we must go for.
Last 20 seconds.
Yeah, I want to emphasize that one of the beautiful things about this model is that it's for Malaysia, for Malaysian companies, by Malaysian researchers in Malaysia. We're going to do it here. We're not going to do it somewhere else or for somebody else.
With Spanish inside, we hope it works for our sports industry too.
Spanish from America.
Yes. So we're going to have to talk about that in another episode. Thank you so much, Professor. Thank you so much, Dato' Sri. Antara pandangan anda sendiri, tentunya anda mempunyai kaitan dengan institusi penyelidikan di Malaysia kepada pelbagai platform yang Astro Awani ada, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, ataupun terus muat turun aplikasi Muda Alih, Android dan iOS untuk anda menonton episod seperti Agenda Awani secara langsung di gadget Muda Alih anda. Sekian, selamat malam, jumpa lagi. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dato' Sri.